Hello.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Love your hair, Judith.
Hello, Yemi.
It's wet.
Judith, we don't hear you.
Your mic is mute, but we're reading your lips.
Sorry, it's wet.
Hello, Yemi.
Hello. Hi, Mafumo. Hi, Palme. Hi, Zawu.
Yes.
Hi, Zaliha.
Hello. Hi.
Hello. All right, welcome. If there's anybody else that you don't want to be here, message them. Tell them we're about to get started. Zawu, it's good to see you.
Yes, thank you.
You're very active. I see you on social media. I think on the forum. Zawu is everywhere.
Thank you.
Awesome. Hi, Mirna. Good to see you. Hello. Uhoma. Hello. Hi, Ogubumi. It's okay, I will open the floor shortly. We have to start with the national anthem. All right. All right, welcome everybody. Let me get started.
Yes, thank you.
I don't know, Yemi, if we can give them a minute or so. We've just left the session, the learning lab. So some might
give them another minute.
Yeah, some might be joining both.
All right, thank you. Please message them, tell them that we're all here and that we're ready to go.
Чогось наша славна Україна зажурилась я, а ми тую червону калину піднімемо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо. Rot blüht auf der Wiese die Kalina, wer hat sie gebeugt? Einst in voller Pracht die Ukraine, grad so sorgenvoll. Rot will einmal wieder die Kalina stark wie nie erblühen und in neuem Glanz die Ukraine, hey, hey, wieder aufrecht stehen. In the meadow there a red Kalina has been bent down low. For some reason, how glorious Ukraine has been worried so. And we'll take that red Kalina and we'll raise it up. And we, our glorious Ukraine, shall, hey, hey, rise up and rejoice.
All right. Such a beautiful song, right? I do think more people would join us. They always do. But we have to respect those who came on time. So I think we can start. In any case, we're going to start with an open mic. So that will give them time to come in before presentations begin. All right, so as a reminder, our structure, we kick off with the national anthem, then we open the floor. Anybody who has anything they want to share briefly, what's on your mind, a feeling, a thought, a question, put it out there. After the open mic, we have our UPG Peace Ambassadors, otherwise known as our Ukrainian family, who will take the floor and typically they've picked a subject they want us to focus on, and we'll get the usual updates. And we can ask questions, but this is basically the meat of our coming together. We get to learn the latest on Ukraine, we get to talk about it. Sometimes there's a guest, sometimes there isn't, but once that section is done, we then now transition to our In Solidarity section. And today we have a very special member of the family here with us to take us somewhere we haven't been before. We get to learn about the situation in Mozambique. Many people do not know about it. And even those who know very little. And so today we will stand in solidarity with Mozambique, as our brother would tell us more. Once he's done, the floor is open again, and anybody can talk about anything they want, of course, mostly Ukraine, and then we close with the national anthem. So without further ado, I'd like to invite us to please stand or acknowledge the Ukrainian national anthem.
Ні слава, ні воля, ще нам, браття українці, усміхнеться доля. Згинуть наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці, запануєм ми, браття, у своїй сторонці, душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького роду.
All right, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. Welcome back. So the floor is open. If you would like the microphone, please raise your hand. Anything you want to share briefly, what's on your mind, a question you want to throw out there, a feeling you have. I think there were at least two people who wanted to speak earlier. Was it Ogumbumi and somebody else? So if you wanted to speak, this is a good moment. Anything on your mind? I have to share that. There we go. Ihoma, you got the microphone. What's on your mind? Oh, please unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So hello everyone. To be honest, I think this is my third United for Ukraine event. Like I haven't been consistent with it, and I feel like just like other people, a lot of people don't see, like once a war is not affecting them, they don't see it as important. Like I'm sure a lot of people in Nigeria don't know that the Ukraine war is still on. They're like, Ukraine, I thought that was like February. A lot of people don't know that it's on. So recently when I saw the email, when I got email, I was like, I should continue, I should be present in these meetings because they are very important. Even though this war isn't affecting me, my presence will not only show that I'm interested in this kind of issue, I'll also benefit from it because I will get to learn from people who have this experience and people who have something insightful to share. And I believe that this kind of knowledge is never a waste. So I'm really grateful to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Well said. Thank you so much. Mapfumo, you've got the microphone.
Hi, Amy. Hello, guys. Am I
Yeah, we hear you.
The guy with the mic. Okay, thank you very much. Just an announcement from my side. You are probably not going to be seeing this more often. I'll be leaving work this weekend. I'm going back to college to finish my degree. So maybe tomorrow will be the last day. So I don't know. I sort of one of the reasons why I find myself attending the sessions now is more of the insolidarity series too. I think as people who care, this level of growth is something that we have to appreciate and we have to celebrate. We come from one point, then we move to another. We realize that there are many conflicts going, and I'm happy, not supposed to be, but I'm happy that we are shedding light on the issue in Mozambique. Where I'm working, I literally, it's about 20 to 50 miles from the border of Mozambique, from Zimbabwe. So the situation in Mozambique is something I've heard of, I've experienced, and yeah, it's good that we are shedding more light there. And I'm happy to see all of you guys.
That's amazing. Now you're going back to school.
Yes.
That's huge. I mean, I don't want to sidetrack the conversation, but I'm so happy to hear your news.
I was on internship. So I was on internship for 1 year. Now I'm left with 1 semester and then I'm done.
Amazing. So did you say your last day? When is your last day? Is it really tomorrow?
Yes, I'll be going back to college during the weekend. During the weekend, we are going to open classes on Monday, and it's physical classes. So during the weekend, that's when I'm leaving. So yeah, tomorrow will be my last day.
Unbelievable. I'm so sorry, guys. We're so used to seeing Mapfuma with this hard act.
I know,
I
right?
don't think I'll recognize you, man. If you showed up and you didn't type your name, I'm sure many of us would be lost.
Thank you, Amy.
No, but that's awesome. We're so happy for you. Thank you for sharing. I think the next hand I saw was Muihaki. Muihaki, you got the mic. Hello.
Hi, I got excited and forgot to unmute. How is everyone? People are looking really good today. I don't know if it's my computer, my laptop, or it's just
I think it's your hair. Don't we like your hair?
Thank you. So, Debbie, I see you are unwell. I'm sorry for to hear that. You'll be okay. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so extremely happy to be here. Last week, I wasn't able to join because I was still waiting for our results in Kenya. And that is when I noticed like I had a lot of anxiety going on and thinking of my parents and my family. They're in a different place. So I'm really grateful to be here. And I just think going through the electoral process as a nation has made me appreciate peace more. And I have seen a lot of value in humanity, especially when it came to areas where youth were standing up and saying no one should expect them to fight on their behalf, because that is something that happens, especially in a country like mine, where people feel like there are no equal opportunities, and the only time to speak out could be through protests and fighting other people and getting resources forcefully during such times. So yeah, elections are announced in Kenya. But yeah, definitely the other party says they've rejected the results, and that is supposed to be heading out to Supreme Court. But it's not an issue if we have peace. So I'm just really hopeful that Ukraine can also come to a place where it's going to be peaceful someday. And there's so much relief, because when the results were announced, honestly, I didn't know I was stressed until the results were announced and I could check the temperatures. So let's continue supporting Ukraine, and I hope Danka and team, one day you can have the peace I feel right now for my country. And thank you for just being here. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Mihaki. I think that we are all nervous about Kenya. That's a real cliffhanger. I've been following Kenya for many years, and I know both sides in that campaign, but I would never have predicted that it would be like this. Forget the result, but the people fighting each other and the fact that the deputy's boss is siding with the other guy. I mean, I would never have predicted that. Somebody has to make a movie, right? It's just too much. And I didn't even know who I wanted to win. I guess I'm not following it closely enough to pick a winner. So I don't know who I want to win, but I'm definitely nervous. And as long as it's all peaceful, they can fight as much as they want in court, right? As long as it's not in the streets, then we're fine. And then back to Ukraine. I guess Ukraine is fighting to keep the privilege of having real elections, right? Because if Ukraine doesn't fight, then Ukraine will enter an era where they will not have this wonderful nervousness that you feel, Mihaki. As painful as it is, it's a sign of freedom, right? All right, so thank you so much. Judith, I think is the final hand before we move on. So Judith, you got the mic. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I want to tag on to what Mihaki was saying. I really appreciated what you were saying, Mihaki, very much, because there are a lot of people, a lot of factions in the US right now that are throwing around talk of violence.
Yeah.
And I really feel, attending these sessions about Ukraine and now in the solidarity portion as well, I kind of feel like if everybody had the opportunity to really sit down with people who know what it's like to be in conflict zones, to know what it's like to live without the freedoms that we now enjoy in the US, they maybe wouldn't be throwing around talk of violence so easily. And so at any rate, I just always appreciate being here and hearing from everybody and in your current situations, and of course Ukraine, because it always makes me feel how precious these freedoms are, these elections are, this ability to have a peaceful political process. So thanks, everybody.
Love that. And spot on, Judith. Thank you. Because you listen to some of the people in the US right now, and you think like, really? Did you just say that? Like, and do you really want that? Like, I mean, seriously? What? Defund the FBI? I mean, please. Seriously? Anyway, so yeah, I think you're spot on, Judith, that some of them really just don't know how precious what they have is. They just don't know. And people who are, what's the word? They seem to be advocating for something other than the rule of law. And you have to kind of like, clean your ears and like rub your eyes and say, am I really hearing this from the US? This is not something I would expect anybody in the US to be saying on any side. How much more one of the major political parties? Like due process was followed and you're questioning that? It's like, so quite stunning. And another idea from listening to Judith. So should we invite some of these people? You guys want some Republican Tea Party folks to join us? Mihaki's laughing. Judith is not sure. Mafumo, you have a thought on that?
My thinking, yes, I think we should actually, okay. But my thinking, which is more of a concern really, is there is a trend, which is almost worldwide, of, if I can say, election losers denying election results. I mean, in some cases, it's really justified. There are countries where rigging occurs. There are countries where it doesn't, but it is of concern. I say this because in my country, we had an election, it was contested. And then I was looking at Kenya, it was contested. Even the US, which is like the epitome of transparency in our perspective and democracy, it was contested. It's something concerning. What's happening in the political space? What's happening in the political space?
That's true, but there's technically nothing wrong with contesting it, but making false allegations. So if you contest it, then it's examined. For example, saying there was vote rigging. Fine, yes. Then it's examined. And if it's found that there wasn't any, or it wasn't at sufficient levels, then process has been followed. You don't then start propagating the fake news about, That's then going off the reservation. Judith, you wanted to add something?
Sorry,
please.
just very quickly. I know we need to move on, but just to say that it feels as though the sort of the primary ethical center, moral center has shifted, so that the object is not fairness, freedom, rule of law. The object is winning. Yeah. The object is power for power's sake. And I think Mafumo's right. I think that shift is happening all over. And that's been in the history of humankind, let's be honest. But I think we have, for a long time, have tried to shift away from that winning for winning's sake and get to the rule of law. And I feel like we're backsliding. So, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly. All. Okay, thank you, everybody.
No, but I hope you can all see what's going on here, because before I say my next sentence, I want you to picture something. Are you guys getting the sense that Donald Trump is actually quite popular in the US? You saw that. I know we all know people who don't like him, but enough people like him that didn't Liz Cheney, she just lost her political fight by a landslide, and she lost to a political newbie. So it wasn't that person that beat her, it was Trump's backing. So whether we like it or not, whether we like them or not, a lot of people like him. Now, can you picture the scenario that he could come back to power? All right, I'm going to start the transition, but I want to leave you with this sentence. Maybe we need to soon have an in solidarity session on the USA. Scary thought. Maybe. Maybe. I think if he gets back into power, that maybe becomes a definitely. But all right.
I think there are a lot of other countries that should go first before we get to the US.
If the USA goes, just a few years ago, there was a peaceful transition of power in the USA when the difference in the voting was something like 1%. Amazing. That was a beacon, a standard for much of the world. And look, just a few decades later, now the USA is setting the standard of not only challenging election results, but spreading fake news. That's going to be with us for some time, and that's very, very scary. So the USA really matters. And I don't think we need to wait for the USA to be in violent conflict for us to pay attention. I think just the threat of what's happening now is enough for us to pay attention and see how we can help.
Fair enough.
All right, thank you all so much. With that, and that was a really vibrant, open floor. So thank you so much, everybody. Good to be here. With that, we transition to our UPG Peace Ambassadors, who are going to give us the highlight of the day. So do I go to Danka, Nata? Which one of you wants to kick us off?
I guess I will start share our presentation. Just one moment. No As problem. Usually we prepared like presentation for you, and as usually we have newsletter, but it's as usually it's newsletter prepared by Irina, our colleague.
Excellent.
And she can't join, but she prepared. But before we go to newsletter, just like short information about like our format of this event, because we understand that we like clarify it for our team, but didn't present it to you. So we like I don't know how to say. Okay, there are. I don't know what word to use. Okay, there are like a few 5 formats of our weekly United for Ukraine events. Like first is the event as it is today. It is like family calls when we are gathering together, when we present you some piece of news, and then we can have like deep discussion. You could like ask directly for us more questions, and we more concentrate in our in solidarity part. Another one is presentation prepared by us. Yeah, actually, it's when we choose or when you recommend us to choose some topic, and we prepared some information and go deeply in this topic. For example, as it was with Ukrainian food crisis, and as it was with
Children.
Children, yeah, as Mahaki proposed. Another part, it's like meeting with guest speakers. Usually they are some kind of expert, for example, Professor Yaroslav Hryzak, you might know about him, or some activists who take part in who somehow helps Ukraine. Yeah, another one is actually when you are involved more. It's worth for active participants. We already have this like meeting when you like present some information how your country help Ukraine. Yeah, and for this like whole event, we also have like in solidarity part. And also we just like at the last moment we understand that sometimes we'll have special events, as we will have in next meeting. Yeah, when like it's good to have like different formats actually. And talking about next meeting, I guess many of you know that we'll have Ukrainian Independent Day, and we will more concentrate in how Ukraine like gets this independence. We also, it's just a little bit spoilering, we also will listen some Ukrainian songs and tell more about it for you. And we prepared like some little surprise for our most active visitors, like for you. So if you usually just go to next event and learn more. And now I guess I will put the floor to Nata, and she will tell more about news.
Yes, Danka, thank you. And hello, everyone. We are here again on our weekly meetings, and now I'm going to share some updates what happened during last week and like is still happening on these days, like at the beginning of this week. So actually, as usually, we are starting with the information about shellings, and preparing this slide, we want to highlight that these shellings are happening all over Ukraine. So we see here like Sumy Oblast, which is the north part of Ukraine, Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, which is more like southern eastern part of Ukraine, in Donetsk Oblast, unfortunately, Mykolaiv, Odessa, which is south of Ukraine, and again in Kharkiv. And we are hearing as just regular news, but unfortunately people keep dying after these shellings, and again, like adult, children, etc. And what you can see that, for example, in Sumy Oblast, Russian forces shelled the village 17 times on August 17. So actually it happened only yesterday. And if we are talking about, for example, Donetsk Oblast, during these shellings, people might be killed. Unfortunately, 2 persons are killed, and we have 7 injured people. And if we are talking about Mykolaiv or Odessa Oblast, again, there are like missile attacks in Odessa, and in Mykolaiv, Russian forces fired on university. So, like, again, there were just building damage, no casualties reported, but still it's a damage for our country. And we are talking about Kharkiv. Kharkiv is the city which is still keep like bombing, shelling, and now we can say that on August 16th, so just 2 days ago, 1 person was killed and 8 people were injured during the Russian shelling. This is information from Kharkiv Oblast Governor Oleg Sinehubov. And going to the next slide, here we'll like continue with our like sad statistics that Russia is using tornado rockets for shelling Kharkiv because this city is struggling very much during these days and during last months, unfortunately. And we are talking also about Zaporizhia Oblast, where the shelling is happening also, and the same, which was like, I cannot say unexpected, but at the same time, we're talking about strikes in Zhytomyr Oblast. Yes, we're talking the missiles in Zhytomyr Oblast, which is close to Kiev. And due to the information of Zhytomyr Oblast Governor Vitaly Bunechko, 2 explosions was heard near Zhytomyr, and they were confirmed. And they were confirmed as a result of Russian missile attacks. And like, again, we're talking about Odessa Oblast, and only now people keep discovering who were the people killed in March or in spring in Kiev Oblast. And as of now, some bodies of civilians that were killed like 5 months ago, now people start to understand who they are and identify these people. So going further to the next slide. Here, like again, the sad news that there is like I would say not famous but well-known fighter pilot Anton Listopad, and unfortunately he was killed. And you can see the pictures from his Facebook, and like he was studying in college in Ivano-Frankivsk, and couple years ago, yes, he was recognized as Ukraine's top fighter pilot. And even like last year, we had our 30th anniversary of our independence, and there was a column in Hrushchatik, and he was a part of this column. And as a sad case, but a few days before his death, our president Volodymyr Zelensky awarded him with the 3rd Great Order for Courage. So it's a very sad news for all of us and for his family that heroes are going from us. Going further to the next slide, I remember that last time we highlighted about the potential damage, and the disaster which might happen when the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant will be fully attacked, because it's still attacking, it's under attack. Unfortunately, they will not all successful, but sometimes the fire happening on the plant, etc. And all European Union members and other countries join the statement to protect this plant, yes, and the countries argue that Russia's control over this plant is a threat to nuclear safety, and Russia, which has constantly been shelling Ukrainian position from the plant's territory, has been accused of using it as a shield and tool of blackmail, unfortunately. And another news which is happening in our Ukrainian news area, and maybe you heard about it, that Dmytro Kuleba, it's our foreign minister, he called for the tourist visa ban for Russians, and actually he asked to ban all this tourist visa for the Russians. And again, it creates like a lot of discussions, especially for like why like normal people should suffer from Russia or etc. But yes, he put his statement on Twitter on August 14th, so it was like just a few years ago, and he put just some reasons why it needs to be happening. And what I know, that I'm currently based in Poland, that Poland already made this and claimed this law, and they refuse to accept Russians and people with Russian passports in its country. So maybe some other countries will follow it. So going further to the next slide, we want to highlight about how Ukraine is using the weapon which we are having like from our allies, yes, and that maybe you've heard that there were some explosions in Crimea for the first time, and that Ukraine attacked Saki. Saki is a village, and that Ukraine attacked Saki air base. But again, neither from official Ukrainian part, nor from the official Russian part. There were, I'm sorry, can you please mute yourself, someone who's speaking? Thank you. So there were no official information that it was like Ukrainian attacks, but the United States Defense Department, it confirmed in its statement that Ukrainian forces bombarded the Russian-controlled Saki airbase on Crimea on August 9th. And afterwards, there were some more explosions that, like this explosion, they damaged railway in occupied Crimea, etc., etc. So, like I would say the two sides are keeping silent, but we understand that finally we can use these weapons which we got, yes, and finally we can attack, even not that much as we wanted, but at least in some areas, in some directions. And
sorry,
again,
Nata,
yes.
For interrupting. Attacked like some military basic object, like just to emphasize.
Yeah, but
not
actually
just...
it's stated that it attacked Saki air base. Yes, so we're talking about military air base. Yes, and then, for example, in some Ukrainian cities which are occupied, like for example, we hear from Mariupol area that partisans are working and they are damages railway bridges, and they are fighting against this occupation power, yes, and they try to help themselves how they can and destroy and damage everything which is possible, not to help Russian forces going further into the cities, etc., etc. So going further to the next slide. This slide is about the Red Cross, yes, that Russian forces denied Red Cross full access to Ukrainian assets in Olenivka. And actually this information was performed from Alexander Vlasenko, who is a spokesman of the International Committee of the Red Cross. And he told the Suspilne Media, it's the Ukrainian media, that the organization visited Olenivka, it's a city in Donetsk Oblast, twice after Ukrainian defenders were brought to prison. And these visits didn't meet the requirements of IRC, and they were too short, and the Red Cross employees couldn't visit the entire premise or to talk to the Ukrainian prisoners of war without the presence of Russian soldiers. So again, here we see how Russia interrupts even the influence of the international organizations within this war. So going further to the next slide, here, yes, as I mentioned before in the previous slide, we're talking about the war crimes, and we have an information from our Prosecutor General Office. This Russian forces committed over 28,000 war crimes during this war. So it's a lot, it's a very huge number. And it was reported, like this is the latest data, it was reported on the August 13th. And again, Ukrainian law enforcement have also recorded 13,000 crimes against Ukraine's national security. And it's a very big amount of crimes, which definitely needs to be resolved and needs to be go like on the legal resolution. And talking about Azovstal, we have some news about this, that we're talking about Katerina Prokopenko, who is the wife of one of the Azovstal defenders. And she said that her husband was taken to Russia, and like it's preliminary information, but unfortunately she doesn't know exactly where he is now. And she added that the last time she heard from her husband was spring, so it was on May 23rd. And like after that, she didn't have any information from him. And like unfortunately, the fate of many of the soldiers are still unknown. And that's why we keep spreading this news about Azovstal defenders. And as you might remember, we invited another wife, yes, the lady who was also a wife of Azovstal defenders, to make it loud, to speak about it, and not to let these people just go away, die, or disappear like in Russia. So going further to the next slide, we are talking about bodies of our fallen soldiers in the number of 19 who returned to Ukraine. And its information was provided by the Ministry for Reintegration of the Temporary Occupied Territories, reported on August 16 that Ukraine had returned the bodies of 19 more fallen defenders. And like no details have been disclosed. But at least it is something that we have. And here on the picture, you can see the picture of our Deputy Prime Minister Irina Vereshchuk. And overall, she said that Ukraine have managed to return the bodies of more than 400 fallen defenders of our country. Going further to the next slide, going a little bit earlier, what I've told about the news that our Minister of Foreign Affairs, like Dmytro Kuleba, asked to recognize Russia as a state of terrorism and ban tourism visa. We can see here on this slide that according to the Latvian public broadcaster, the country's parliament, Sejm, issued a statement on the 11th of August, which has recognized Russian violence against civilians in Ukraine, and which has recognized Russia as a terrorist state. So it's kind of small but victory which we have from our like friendly country. And again, they called other European Union countries to join this initiative. So going further to the next slide, now we want to share some news about Ukraine in the world. Mainly it's news about sport, about different championships, but why we wanted to put it here, because it's not only about our victories is in sport area, which might be normal and usual thing in the peaceful life. But here we want to highlight that, for example, the first news about Mikhailo Romanchuk, that he wins 1,500 free at European Championship. He's a swimmer, yes, and he dedicated his gold medal to his father, saying that his father has returned after fighting with Ukraine's military in eastern Ukraine. So he devoted his victory to him. Or another news about Ukrainian 9-year-old boy who becomes a world champion in karate despite he was training online. So it was not possibility for him to train with his coach, yes, and he was training online. And again, his coach even couldn't leave the Russian-occupied Berdyansk in Zaporizhia Oblast, but it was not an issue for him to win this competition. And again, we're talking about 8 gold medals won at the European Aquatics Championships, that Ukrainian artistic swimming team triumphantly completed its performance at the European Aquatics Championship in 2022, like this year, and they won a gold medal in every discipline it had participated in. So we can say that despite the hard times for Ukrainian sportsmen, they keep doing their job, I would say, and keep bringing victories to our countries despite our reality. And going further, to the next slide, actually that's it, but we want to highlight as usual how you can help Ukraine. And this slide and the next one, they are like our regular slides, that you can still keep boycotting Russian goods, below in social media, yes, putting some posts using hashtags, which you can see on the screen. You can report war propaganda from the television or from the websites or YouTube, where you can see these channels and you can see some fake news. You can sign different petitions on the websites where you can see it's very valuable for the changes which might happen in Ukraine. It's a website change.org, openpetition.eu and petition.parliament.uk. You can join the rallies if it's happening in your cities, in your country, in your communities, or you can even be a leader of this rally, yes. And you can increase military and humanitarian support to Ukraine, making any donations by your own. And on the left side of the screen, you can see where you can donate and how you can do it. And going to the next slide, I think it might be the last one. As usual, we encourage you to read the true news, like Ukrainian ones. So as usual, it's Ukrainian media, it's Ukrainska Pravda, it's Novaya Vremya and Kyiv Independent. All of them have news in English. And if you are using Telegram as an application, you can follow Ukraine Now Telegram channel, which is in English. And it's very easy for you to read this news. And they are often updating, and it's very fresh information on this Telegram channel. So I think this is it from my side. Thank you so much. And thank you for listening to me.
All right, thank you, Nata. And thank you everybody for showing Nata some love. Thank you. Danka, I wasn't sure if there was anything else you had. So are we coming back to you or we're done? All right.
We're done from our part. Like, if you have any questions, you could ask me or Nata.
Now we can take some questions now, but thank you. Wow. Thank you so much. That was nice and concise.
Remind it is this newsletter was prepared by Irina, our colleague. Just to know.
We can send some love to Irina as well. I have to say, we shouldn't take this for granted, because there's just so much good information that we miss. You know, I obviously read the news in Ukraine, but every time I listen to the newsletter, there are things that I didn't hear that week. So thank you. I'm very sad to hear that the wife of the Azov general hasn't heard from him since May. You know, I'm very sad, and we have to make some noise about that, because if there is no noise about it, then those who detain him will conclude that nobody cares. So we have to make sure people don't vanish. Anyway, and there's just so much else in there. I mean, it's a good thing to remind us that so much of Ukraine is still being shelled every single day. And I think that, you know, when you follow the news these days, you might think that, oh, Crimea got hit and something's happening in the Donetsk region, but then you don't necessarily see that so much of the country is getting hit. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So the floor is open for some questions before we transition. If you have a question about anything they presented or a thought or idea, please raise your hand. Mafumo, you got the mic first.
Hi, thank you. I just have one question just to confirm. You mentioned, say, bombing, if I can say, in Sakha, that's in Crimea. And I may have gotten this wrong, but you said the US is saying there was an attack, but both Ukraine and Russia are denying that such an attack happened or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there's
well,
a bit of
they're
comedy
not
going on.
denying, they're just silent. They do not comment it. I mean, Russia do not comment it because in this case, they need to admit the evidence that Ukraine attacked them, which happened. They said that it happened, this explosion happened due to the high temperature in Crimea. Like it's summer, it was something caused with fire, and the fire happened in their like plant with the bombs and it explodes. So they are saying like this. Ukraine side officially again doesn't comment on this part because maybe because due to the military standards they do not want to make it like public or loud or etc. But yes, but we know how it is. Like
so it's some sort of a pride scenario where Russia doesn't want to admit that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. This is
Yes.
this is
You heard correctly. And I suspect Ukraine is probably not trying to inflame the situation by boasting or bragging, but militarily they do have to attack because attack is the best form of defense. Some of the attacks on Ukraine have been launched from the Saki airport. So, I mean, they can't ignore it, right? It's a legitimate target, but they do know that that also is a source of, what's the word? Humiliation for Russia. So they're not trying to humiliate anybody. They just want to be free. So they're going to keep attacking, but they don't need to sing about it. And so right now we're witnessing some theater. I mean, I think the latest news I heard was sabotage. I mean, such widespread sabotage on a Russian base, unlikely. I think it's more like a strike. But anyway, seriously. All right, Judith, you got the mic.
Thanks, Yemi. So something that struck me about in this week's report was the section about tourism. The fact that people who are, leaders, countries in the EU and elsewhere who are arguing that why should innocent Russians be punished for the actions of its leader. The problem in my mind with that is it sort of makes this false equivalency between the suffering of innocent Ukrainians and the suffering of innocent Russians. The suffering of Russians who don't get to go on holiday cannot be it cannot be made equivalent to the suffering of Ukrainians, innocent Ukrainians who are dying and being maimed and losing their families every single day. So that's a false equivalency to me. And also the other point that I just wanted to make about that is that until ordinary Russians really feel the pain of what is happening in Ukraine, generally, they're not going to make any noise about it. They're just going to go along. It's the same in every country. Unless the ordinary people in the country actually feel the pain of the actions that their government is taking, they can just put their heads in the sand. We do that all the time. We all do it all the time. We just kind of say, it's not affecting me, so I just can put my head in the sand and not think about it. So until ordinary Russians actually feel the pain of not being able to go on vacation, I kind of feel like they're not going to really take any responsibility for what their government is doing. So those are my thoughts. Thanks.
Wow, that's so powerful. I know you made that sound really simple and clear, but that did it for me. I have to say, when I heard this talk about limiting the movements of Russians, I really wasn't sure where to stand. Of course, I'm united for Ukraine. So if that's what Ukraine wants, I'm there. But I have to understand why I'm there. My head has been debating it. But Judith, that did it for me. Thank you. I think that's pretty clear. Right? I don't feel bad about denying Russian visa access if ordinary Ukrainians, their families are split, they've lost homes, lost jobs, they're being killed. I mean, no, nothing equivalent there, nothing at all. So thank you so much for sharing that. That now seems so clear. All right, any other comments? I have to say, we've been on fire today. Every segment has been lit, seriously. Any other comments? We will have, and of course, another chance at the end with the open floor. So if there are no further questions at this point, then we transition to our In Solidarity segment. So I'll give you a few more seconds. Danke, all right? Please go.
Just not comment, but just use this possibility to talk about Ukraine. Yeah, we always like tell news for you and tell the sharing, but actually not always we show you how the situation it's look like. And I just for a moment want to share my screen with a map of Ukraine. Yeah. Oh, and now you can see here how much territory of Ukraine are actually occupied by Russia. This one, like just all of this, it's territory of Ukraine which are occupied. Green one, actually here, like Kyiv regions and Sumy, Chernihiv, this territory was liberated, I guess, we mentioned it in our previous session, but it was liberated on March, if I'm not mistaken, or April, I can mistake. And here, actually, you can see Mariupol, yeah, near Azov Sea. And actually here was our Azovstal defenders. And talking about Crimea, just I didn't practice it. Talking about Crimea, you can see how much I don't know how to say it, military station or something like that are in Crimea. And actually, from Crimea, Russia attacked our territory. So that's why we mentioned why it's like so important to destroy like strategic military points, military points in Crimea. Yeah, I will share the link with you like just now.
All right, thank you so much, Danka. Once again, even though we follow the news, there's just so much we don't see. So it's priceless to come together every week. It's priceless to get this knowledge. So big thank you to the UPG Peace Ambassadors. Thank you so much for your work. Ihuoma, your hand is up. You've got the microphone. Please unmute yourself. Ihuoma, did you want to say something? All right, maybe we'll come back to her later. All right, for now, is anybody else wants to say something before we transition? Anybody else have a comment or thought on the presentation? Mapfumo, please proceed.
When, I don't know, when Danka was giving her last presentation, I think we need another session, just a suggestion, on, if I can say, resilience in Ukraine. More often, when we focus on the damage, we focus on the hurt and the pain that's happening in Ukraine. I think we should also shed more light on the things and the people that are resilient in Ukraine. Is it like, for example, agriculture? Is still right now, Ukraine still managed to produce, they're actually still exporting grain, last time we checked, right? And we have industries in positions that the Ukraine still holds that resilience. I think it's something awesome to talk more, to think more about. And yes,
awesome. Thank you, Mapfumo. Lovely. Thank you so much. Ihuoma, you want to try now? You can unmute your mic.
Okay, I just have a question. When you're talking about the Russian occupied territories in Ukraine, is it just the military, or like do other Russians like come to take over the land as well? That's just my question.
Good question.
Sorry, I didn't get it correctly. Do you mean what?
She's asking who is occupying the land. Is it just the Russian military that have occupied the land? Or is Russia moving Russians to come in and settle on Ukrainian land? Who's living the occupied?
Okay, I guess I got you. I could start and maybe Nata will continue if she want. The thing is actually, as we mentioned, like if we go in 2014, when Russia started war on the east of Ukraine, Russia occupied like some part of the east in Ukraine. It's Donetsk region and part of Donetsk and part of Luhansk region, and also annexed Crimea. And the thing is that it's during 8 years, this territory is occupied. And of course, when we're talking about Crimea, the thing is that Russia recognized that Crimea is a part of Russia, and many Russians like had this opportunity to visit Crimea because just it's like official statement from Russia point. That's why, of course, there is Russians in Crimea. Talking about Donetsk and Luhansk region, like before the full-scale invasion, unfortunately, I don't have like this is data how many Russians move or don't move to these regions, but I think for them it could be like dangerous because on the east, on the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, there was like and still is war from 2014. So for me, I don't have like no sense to move the place where is war. When we're talking about territory which became occupied from the full-scale invasion, unfortunately, we don't have like so much, like our officials don't have so much data what is going on this territory. But here, like no points to Russians to move this territory because this territory is demand. Most of them is demand. For example, in Mariupol, now people do not have like opportunity to, like, I don't know, even have a shower. They have shower on the like outside near the building. They do not have opportunity like just cooking food inappropriate. And just what about Mariupol? It was I just can't remind about Mariupol, but the thing is that that terrible things happening in Mariupol and also in many occupied territory. And okay, I remind it. I want to talk about prices because actually prices increased on the occupied territory. I just following this channel of news of Mariupol, and I don't know, just sausage. I just could me remind increase on 8 times like the price. So I was like in shock when I saw it. So the thing is that it's not like sweet life in the occupied territory because actually like
All right, thank you so much, Danka. So I hope, Ihoma, you got your answer. If I start with the second part of what she said, basically there's been fighting in some of these parts since 2014. And so it's not really amenable for people to kind of move over and say, I'm going to settle. But they are going there to fight. So the fight is going on. And as she said in Crimea, well, it's been annexed. The Russian government has kind of made it legally, from a Russian point of view, part of Russia. And since it's in such a nice location, people are now going holidaying in Crimea. And if you saw some of the pictures when there were the explosions on Crimea, you saw some Russians there by the beach, well, by the water. And of course, I'm thinking, how on earth? I mean, how do you think to go holidaying in Crimea when this is going on? I don't get it. I'm sorry. But anyway, but we saw those pictures. Then the other point that Danka, made was that given the situation, oh yeah, the other point that she, for me, alluded to is the fact that even though they may not be big resettlements, Russia is trying to normalize its control of these places. So they are trying to, what's the word, install their own local officials, and trying to, there's a concern that they might run a referendum where the locals all now say they want to be part of Russia. That happened in Crimea, and there's concerns Russia might do that elsewhere. But in the meantime, they are installing their own local leaders. They are running things. They're issuing Russian passports. So they're saying the locals in these places, oh, you didn't know that? They've signed, the Russian president signed an order to fast track the ability of Ukrainians who live in these Russian controlled areas to obtain Russian passports. Now, what's the strategy there? I don't know yet, but so that some of that is actually happening now. Danka, your hand is up again. You wanted to add something?
Actually, just like short comment, because like a few days ago, I read article about the situation in occupied Donetsk, and actually this article was like written by Alexander Hrebet. I guess maybe most of you knew him because he was one of our guest speaker in this session, and just shared this article. Yeah, and the thing is that conscription, yeah. The thing is that now many people, many men actually live with strach, yeah, with because they even can't fear, yeah. Many men in the Donetsk region, which is occupied, live in fear because they even can't like go outside because they could be forced to conscription. Like Russian want to force them to conscription in order to they go and fight against Ukrainians, and that why they like all times they are hiding in their building, or some of them try to escape from Donetsk, like through Russian border, because it's not possible to escape to territory which is controlled by Ukraine. So that why many of them had to pay like big amount of money. I don't know. Actually, it's there is in this article, but oh yeah, today this like the stamp that you are not eligible to conscription. It's cost like $2,060 in order to someone by corruption, of course, put this stamp in your documents in order you not go to like war, fight against Ukraine. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. So on one hand, there's still a lot happening. So thank you. I'm so happy we have a chance to get these updates. On the other hand, I feel better than I felt in June and parts of July, because that was such a painful period. It was Russian advance after Russian advance, and the Ukrainians saying we're waiting for these weapons, we're waiting for these weapons. So it's really nice to see Ukraine have more capacity to strike back. Yeah, and we just hope that somehow the strategy that His Excellency, the President of Ukraine, has shared is that if you really want to negotiate with Russia, then you have to make Russia feel the pain. That if Russia doesn't feel the pain from this conflict, then we will never get a negotiated solution. And so we hope this strategy is working. I still continue to pray that somehow the international community finds the courage to enforce the peace. I still believe we shouldn't be letting our brothers and sisters fight and kill each other because we want some end goal. We should step in and enforce the peace. And you can see that this is a dangerous game. As you saw from the newsletter, there's increasing, growing international concern about the nuclear plant in Ukraine. I think it's one of the world's largest, if not the world's largest nuclear plant. And there are military games being played around it, almost like the Russian forces playing hide and seek around the nuclear plant, but also shelling near the nuclear plant. So by seeing conflict as a path to peace, we are playing a dangerous game. I do think we should intervene and find a way to enforce the peace. But thank you so much for the updates. We will come back to Ukraine before we close. But at this time, I'd love to transition. If we are ready to transition to our In Solidarity spotlight of today's session. And our In Solidarity spotlight is on Mozambique. And I know that many of us don't know that there's even anything happening in Mozambique. And so please let us show some love to our brother, Palme Antonio. If you're ready, please, you've got the floor if you're ready.
Okay, hi everyone.
Hello.
Thank you for this opportunity to share what's really is going on in Mozambique. And I've prepared some slides if you allow me to share.
Please proceed.
I hope. Yeah. Okay. This is the first part. This first slide is just to give you an idea where Mozambique is located. You know?
Okay. Can you switch it to presentation mode, please? If you click on the...
Okay, let me see here. Okay, that's good. I was saying that the first slide is just to give you an idea where Mozambique is located.
Sorry, last interruption. I know your video was on before. It's off now. Is that deliberate?
Yeah, okay. If I turn it on, you can't see me either. It's now evening here. You can see me very well. I turned it on. Look how it is.
It's better than the picture.
Okay.
So please continue.
Okay, never mind. Okay. So Mozambique is located in the southern. It share border with Zimbabwe on the west, and north we have Tanzania, and the full map of Mozambique is here. So the insurgence in Mozambique is taking place in the Cabo Delgado province, as you can see here. So the last one, as you can see where it's colored here, Cabo Delgado province.
Yes.
Okay, when it started, the first violent attack occurred in October 2017 in the port town of Mocimboa da Praia, where they targeted 3 police stations in Cabo Delgado, northernmost province. And most of its victims has been civilians. But as the group improved its operational capacity, they now are attacking against the government targets. The group is known by several names, different names, including ISIS Mozambique, which means Islamic State in Mozambique, and Al-Shabaab. And the attack have all took place in Cabo Delgado, a Muslim majority province bordering Tanzania. And it is considered as the poorest province in the country in terms of development, but it is significantly rich in natural gas. The violence has moved south, leading to mass displacement. We have many internal displaced people. Fear of violence followed by confirmed attacks have triggered panic and mass movements of people from areas that were previously considered relatively stable, like Ankwabe and Chiuri district. This is near to the provincial capital of Pemba. So since 2017, this group has thought to have been responsible for, let me push this, I can't see it, for more than 3,000 deaths, abductions, rape, village raised, and the displacement of more than 800,000 people. And more than 30,000 people are thought to be on move as a consequence of the ongoing wave of violence. Causes, what are the causes? What this group really needs in Mozambique? Well, the causes are not clear enough, but the dominant argument has been that they has been instigated by poverty, lack of socio-economic opportunity, discriminations, inequality, and the frustration of young people. When they come to the northern of Mozambique, they seek for those young people, unemployed young people, and they deceive them for the dignity work, and they take them and go to their military base and train them, pay money to fight against their countries, our country in this case. However, the government says they want to establish an Islamic State in the country. I think you can see some image here. Most of them are young people. They have been destroying public infrastructures, roads, hospitals, and so on. Military assistance and humanitarian aids. Several countries in SADC have sent soldiers, equipment, and military advice in mid-2021, July, if I don't, to help quell the insurgents, and has made great progress in restoring peace and security in that region. The threat is greatly loud, but not yet gone. Many members of the terrorists have been shot down, their military base closed, and others captured, arrested, and trialed. Despite the intervention of foreign troops to show up the Mozambican military, violence has continued to flare in Cabo Delgado districts and recently in neighboring province, Niassa. And the conflict has triggered an acute humanitarian crisis. As you can see, there are many vulnerable people with substantial humanitarian needs. People are in need of health care, education, water, sanitation, service, and food. It means they lack the basic human rights. The situation remains very fluid. Although humanitarian organization teams are distributing relief items in various locations where people are sheltering, following recent attacks in Montepuez district, where more than 6,000 families arrived recently. And most of them arrived with no possession and experienced great psychological distress. So internally, we have many movements who are trying to collect clothes, food, to be solidary with the people who has been displaced. And people's humanitarian needs are enormous. Sorry, something went wrong here. Let me go to the last one. This is the last one. So I was saying that people's humanitarian needs are enormous, but aid is in short supply in some areas. And in Cabo Delgado province, and are already hosting large numbers of displaced people, and now must adapt to a new influx of arrival. This has an impact on local communities. Every day, the capital province of Pemba have been receiving people moving, fleeing the attacks on the district where attacks are taking place. So in most places, the humanitarian aid available is massively insufficient for people's needs. As you can see in this image here, we have children. So the most victims in this case are mostly women, children, elderly. So this is what I had to share with you. This is real what is going on in Mozambique.
Amazing. Can we please show our brother some love? Thank you so much, Palme. Amazing. So please stay there, Palme. I'm sure we're going to get some questions shortly. I have a few for you. So obviously this is very, very sad, and it's not getting much news coverage. So there are many people who don't even know this is happening. Now, is it also what I understand from you that it's not very clear what these insurgents actually want? Is that correct?
Yes.
But the government is saying maybe they want to establish an Islamic state.
An Islamic state, yeah.
Because did they ever say they want to do that? Or is that the government intelligence?
Once they have recorded a video and sent it to the Minister of Defense saying that they are not concerned about the natural resource. Allah has sent him just to spread the word about Islam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, that takes me to one of my next questions. Are there natural resources in that region, Cabo Delgado?
Yeah, recently on 2011, there has been discovered natural gas in high quantities. So I think they are also trying to exploit those resources.
And the conflict started in 2017. So basically after the discovery of the resources. All right, next, I was going to ask you how they are funded, but are they effectively funded through these natural resources, or do they get some other source of funding?
The funding is not clear. And the Minister of Defense says that they came by they use vessels to reach those regions. So the Minister of Defense says they might have connection with the Al-Shabaab in the east of Africa. So when they come to the province, to the Mozambique, they try to recruit more young people who are unemployed, promising money and digging work. So after that, they take those young people to their military base and train, give money to fight against the country.
Okay, thank you very much. So Family, if you have any questions for Palme and what's happening in Mozambique, please raise your hand or type it. Danka, please go ahead.
Actually, I just Googled in Ukrainian language about Mozambique. I have two questions. First one, it's about religion, because Ukrainian Wikipedia say me that most of people are like unreligions, and it's about 50%. And actually, according to data, about 20% it's like Muslims, and another 20 and something is Catholic. Yeah. Oh, no. Sorry. Data in Wikipedia say me is that 47% it's like animism, and then like almost equal Catholic and Islam. So concerning religion, maybe you can have like comments which religion is most popular, and how religion actually influences conflict. And another one I will ask later.
Okay, thank you, Danka. Palme, did you get the question? Can you comment on the distribution of, I guess, religious faith in Mozambique? Is there a dominant religion? Is it mixed? What do you know much about it?
The dominant religion is Christianity.
Okay.
But this region where attacks are taking place is the Muslim majority province, Cabo Delgado and Nampula, Zambezia are Muslim.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And another question, like, it's going on from 2017, and I just wondering if there was someone, how actually government like fight with these people who like make it terror in, and maybe did they like captured someone? Was there any court or something like that? Do you have this data? Like, how's it? Or do you get my question?
Are you asking if they captured people?
Okay.
No, not people. Sorry. Like, I mean, this one. Nata, are you here?
So funny. I almost feel like telling Danka to say it in Ukrainian, like we're gonna understand.
Yeah. But no, I mean,
yes, I am.
Oh, okay. I will try in English, and then maybe I will ask you help. Okay, I mean, just like official army or just government captured this terrorist, just they like just they do something like more clear?
You're asking if the army has been able to take any of them prisoner, I guess, to interview them and to learn from them? Is that what you're asking? Say it in Ukrainian. Nata can help. She's here.
Oh, Nata, can you help me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ната, я запитала... Сорі, я тебе, боже, що я тут позорюсь? Коротше, Ната, я запитувала, чи government зловив цих терористів, хоча б одного з них, і чи були якісь публічні, ну не публічні, а суди над ними.
Суди.
Ну, типа не страти, але суди, чи, ну, для того, щоб дізнатися причини і, ну, і так далі. This was a lesson of our Ukrainian
language. Yes. Danka is wondering whether the government captured some of the terrorists and whether there were some court hearings of these cases before.
Okay.
Okay. Can I answer this question?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Okay. As I said before, I have said Mozambican military itself was unable to fight against the insurgency in Mozambique. So the Mozambican government asked military assistance to the SADC. So last year, Angola, Botswana, Rwanda, South Africa, and the United States sent soldiers, equipment, and military advisors. So this effort has resulted in shut down many of those jihadist terrorists. Their military base closed, and many of them captured, arrested, and trialed. Many of them are serving their sentence in Cabo Delgado prison.
Okay. Okay. All right, thank you so much. I see two more hands. Mihaki, you got the mic.
For some reason, my internet just started buffering, so let me know if I'm disconnected. I was just thinking how language is so beautiful that we can sit here and wait for a translation and still be on the same page and understand each other. So that's awesome. Mine, Palme, thank you so much for sharing. It's not a question on an observation of the various wars I've heard about from history, from here, Ukraine, from issues that have been happening around us. And I think the issues we cannot downplay, that is power, poverty, religion. I saw Palme highlight some of that. I saw Judith freeze, so that can. Isn't it okay?
Yes, I think we could hear you most of the time. You broke up a little bit.
Okay, sorry. So I was talking about these things, and most of the time I see sometimes it's a poor thing, most of the time, because if it's a rich, if it's a poor man, he doesn't have enough resources, so he wants to fight for those resources. So most of the time I find that when there's a lot of controversy going on, it's definitely usually as humans trying to do things in a different way. That reminds me, I heard you talk of Al-Shabaab, which is also a concern we deal with and very vigilant with in Kenya at this particular point because of random bombings, random religious attacks. And I would want to say, that reminds me, there was a session we had with Adejoke on war. And that reminds me of the role of leaders, even in war. Most of times when these things are going on, there are people behind the scenes who are facilitating, who are even funding these people. Because I have also seen, is it Marta comment on Nigeria? It's also the same thing that is happening. There's also a religious war going on. There's also scarcity of resources and two parties wanting to at least feel like they belong and the government cares. So I think in the bigger picture, there is more than what meets the eye when it comes to just the war and resources and people suffering. There's just a real reasons why people have decided to push in this wrong direction to perhaps have their voices heard. Perhaps people are not feeling heard enough for the longest time. Perhaps people are just greedy. Maybe people are just frustrated, you see. And that is what happens. We are humans. Sometimes when you're going through something, you just have to find a way. And being different humans basically. So it's just a hope I'm having in my heart that moving forward, we can address these issues individually and maybe perhaps find they're really happening. And if we can be diplomatic enough to perhaps just address the issues as we move on, because truth is, as we're always saying here, if we don't contain it in Ukraine, that is enabling another country to do that same thing to other people. If countries don't give out their soldiers to Mozambique, and just for them to help fight, that is also enabling the insurgency happening in Mozambique to move on to the next country. So there's a lot of roles we can play as individuals, but also as people in our own countries. So I'm just staying hopeful. That is my contribution for that.
All right, thank you so much, Mihaki. Very thoughtful, very thoughtful. It makes me wonder if Kenya has sent troops, because if Kenya is dealing with Al-Shabaab,
yeah.
So Kenya
we actually have
sent
troops,
Mozambique?
not in Mozambique. No. Ours is actually in Somalia. Now we're dealing with them in Somalia itself before maybe they go to other countries before they come to Kenya. There's also a discussion that why are we doing that? And that makes us a target at the end of the day, because when you're deploying our troops, you become the immediate target before they can meet a third person. But I think that discussion was ongoing at a particular point, but Kenya's stand has always been to deploy soldiers to fight there. That is also alongside US, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Oh, I see two more hands, and then maybe we start to come to a close. So Judith, you've got the mic, and after Judith, we go to Yvonne, but Judith first, please.
Thank you. So I just have a comment and a question. So quick comment, I didn't even know that the US had sent troops to Mozambique. I didn't even know that. So it just shows you like the you know, how like I can, my country is actually giving resources and yet I have no idea.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
United States have sent military advisors.
I see.
Yeah, they were
I didn't even
training
know that,
our militaries here.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. Thank you for that clarification. Yeah, it's just so interesting that like I had no idea. I'm glad to know that. But my question was about how people outside of that region, how people in the rest of the country, how they feel about the government. I was just curious, like how much support the government of the central government of Mozambique has from the rest of the country, and whether they feel, whether, you know, the rest of the country feels that the government is representing them, is doing enough for them. Yeah, I would just love to get your thoughts on actually the central government of Mozambique.
Okay, the government is doing the best it can. So internally, many institutions, public institutions and private, have been collecting foods, clothes, and send it to Cabo Delgado province. So as you may know, corruption is in a higher rate here in Mozambique. So some organizations are going to assist the refugees, I could say that, the refugees, the internal displaced directly instead of giving the government because of corruption. So we have many non-governmental organizations here assisting the refugees, the internal displaced here.
Thank you, Pami. That's definitely an indicator about what people think of the government. But if you had to answer the question directly, is the government popular? Do most people in Mozambique right now like the government, trust the government? Don't worry, this is not a scientific poll, just your opinion.
The ruling party, Frelimo, is in power since 1975. So their popularity is now going down because of, as I said before, corruptions and misleading some. So people are fear of post-electoral violence, because every elections, the opposition say that they don't recognize the results. So every year we have been facing post-electoral violence. So people are now thinking that let's let them ruling in peace.
Oh, wow. All right, thank you so much. I think our final question from Yvonne. Yvonne, question or comment? You've got the mic.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm glad you discussed about the Mozambique issue and the Congo, but I have been a refugee for a long time, and I was in Tete. Tete, it's a certain district It's a border Malawi and Mozambique, and also was in Nampula. So Tete, when people close to Malawi, there were some young generation from Ethiopia, Somalia, Eritrea. They were catch them in the car, like from Malawi to Mozambique. Then some they were dying because of the hunger, because they have been long in the trucks. They were some truck driver took them, hide them. So there were many deaths in the way. Then we were asking ourselves how this young generation, how they are here in Mozambique. They came from Malawi. Once they catch them, they say, oh, we came through Tanzania and Kenya, and now we are going to South Africa. So this war in Mozambique, sometime in Nampula, you were finding a lot of young generation from Ethiopia, Eritrea, whatever, those Muslims, and they were stick there. So small Christianity, they were not dominant in terms of business, in terms of mining, means that this war, it's a process we don't know. It's a secret which we are not yet discovering, because Al-Shabaab or terrorists, you find when they catch them, they find, where are you coming from? Oh, I was coming from Somalia. They hide me. I came this. So this is my question. And also, I'm asking you if you heard about or you have that experience, especially from people Mozambique, how this situation will end while in the country there are some strange stuff.
All right, thank you. Thank you. I don't know, Palma, if you want to comment on that?
It seems like Yvonne have lived for a short period or a long time in Mozambique, as she said before. I would like also to say that about the military assistance, the SADC has extended its military mission fighting against this armed group, and the decision was taken during an extraordinary summit of Troika of SADC, heads of state and government held in DRC this week. So we still have assistance guarantee for the next 1 year.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I want to bring us gently to a close, but before we move away from Mozambique, Palme, I'll give you the last word. And of course, Marta, if you want to chime in, you're welcome to. But Palme, the final question for you is, what can the world do to help? What would you like to see happen by way of help?
Well, in the first point, I could say humanitarian aid instead of military assistance.
Okay.
So as the jihadist group doesn't show they don't need to negotiate, so military assistance also will be good enough to fight against this armed group.
Okay. Are you saying that they haven't made any demands? So they haven't made any political demands?
No, they didn't.
Interesting.
They didn't. They are always trying to, they behead people on villages, come and village said they burned the houses, then ran off. So the military have to chase them, shot, and it's really difficult to find who exactly are the responsible for these attacks to negotiate with him.
Wow. All right, thank you so much. So if I understand your final comments there, you're saying because they haven't made themselves open to negotiation, they haven't made any demands, because of that, you believe military assistance is important because you have to fight them. So you believe that. And if there's anything additional that you wish for that could help, you would like some more humanitarian assistance. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's that.
All right, awesome. Please, can we show Palme lots of love? Thank you so much. I think, Palme, now you see how much work goes into the preparation. You see how you had to take time to prepare. Now, can you imagine that our Ukrainian family have been doing this now for months, every week? But thank you so much. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to come to a close today. Thank you so much for being here. As always, I want to come back to Danka, just to check if you have any final words before we close today.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Yeah, unfortunately, not Ella because she must go. Just thank you as usual all, and just to remind you that next week we will have Ukrainian Independence Day, so you're always welcome, and we prepared some special I don't know how to say, some special surprise for the most active of you, and we also will listen in Ukrainian songs. Some of them will be new for you, so just go. Welcome to next meeting.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, shall we take the national anthem? All right, thank you so much, everybody. So if it's okay, let's get the national anthem. All right, thank you so much, everybody. Please make a date and join us next week. It's the Ukrainian Independence Day. Next week, we are live on Wednesday. So please mark your calendar. It's Wednesday, 5 p.m. Geneva time. And invite good people to come and celebrate Ukraine with us. And let's be united for Ukraine together. Thank you so much. I don't know if there's any, we can say our goodbyes, I guess.
Yeah, I just want to add, it really was a pleasure to saw when you stand with your hand on the heart. Yeah.
Thank you. We are together.
Love you.
Love you. Be safe.
Bye bye, everyone.